Hi, this is Dave Snell with ExecutiveRestoration.com. Got mold, we have thecure.com. I have got a special guest with us tonight, and his name is Jim Packard with Control Environmental. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, David. Glad to be with you.
And Jim, we're going to talk about, who are you? Who are you? Who, what, when, where, how? Just tell us all about Jim Packard, so all of my YouTube viewers can get to know you and get to know your heart and what you're all about. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you, David. I appreciate this. Uh, who am I? Well, most people in the industry out here refer to me as the dinosaur of the mold industry. Uh, I don't know that uh, that describes who I am, but certainly there's that number of years in the business that uh, you could you could call me that, and it wouldn't hurt my feelings. I'm right now almost 44 years in the indoor air quality business. Most of that, as you know, dealing with molds and VOCs and chemicals in the indoor environment, and that's what I love doing.
Now, Jim, do you also do water damage and fire damage and smoke damage and crime scene, or what? Do you only handle mold remediation, mold removal, indoor air quality?
At this time, yes. Now, I spent 27 years in the insurance restoration business where we did water damage. Of course, I deal with that now to an extent, but did fire uh, and certainly, biological cleanup and so on and so forth. Uh, but yeah, my focus in the past 24, 25 years has been in the indoor air quality industry, dealing with molds, chemical sensitivities, and what have you.
Right. So, is your passion? Would you say your passion is indoor air quality and mold?
Yes, yeah,
Abs-
most definitely. And my education is aerobiology. Um, so I've always, since days of schooling, I've had a great interest in that science.
right. Now, Jim, you also have a product that I have used and I continue to use. And what's the name of your product?
It is called air sweep.
Air Sweep, and it does
It's one word.
yes, and it does exactly what the name um, suggests. It sweeps and cleans the air. Correct?
It does, yes,
It
and it's of course that's the way it was designed, and over the years of use, we've determined that it does. There's some other factors that come into play it goes a little bit beyond just sweeping the air of particulate,
right,
but
right.
it's it's been very effective. It's been very helpful to people with um, asthma, with respiratory issues.
Now, this product is especially good for people who have chemical sensitivities. Am I correct by saying that, Jim?
Yes, because it's designed with um, ionic charges, and the chemicals, as you know, they all have their own electrical charge, and we're using that electrical charge to pull those particulate, which may be a gas with a chemical,
Right.
uh, or a vapor, and pull those out of the air and capture them in a molecular sieve.
Right.
And it's just worked wonderful for people with chemical sensitivities, children with asthma, adults with asthma for that matter. It's currently being tested by several fire departments because of the recent concerns over the illnesses brought to the firefighters through smoke and what have you. So they're finding it's being very helpful in eliminating that.
Right. And if people wanted to buy your product, is there a website that they could go to, Jim?
Well, there currently is not. My website is currently not up and running. I expect that within the next 60 days, 45 days, I will have a website up. Right now, it could be through personal email to me or via telephone.
Could they could text you and or email you? Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And what is a way that they could either call you or text you? What would that number be?
That number is 970-219-0460.
Okay.
That, like I said, is voice or text.
Okay, great. And do you have an email where people could email you about your product?
Yes, and I'll give you the short one.
Okay.
Because with our website, we are changing also the website address, but it's pckrdj@aol.com.
That's pretty simple. It's very simple. So, folks, there are two ways to get a hold of Jim Packard, either by phone with a phone call or a text to him or email. And by the way, I use his product. It's a wonderful product. It's a safe product. I'm very happy with his product. And yes, just his product is very helpful to me, and it's very helpful to my clients. And I just want, and the name of his product is Air Sweep. That's AIRSWEEP. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That's great. Now, you also own a restoration company. Is that correct, Jim?
Well, I'm still have part ownership of it. Like I said, I've owned a couple of different restoration companies, and I do still have ownership in one.
Okay. So if people want to,
my primary focus, David, is on the indoor air quality.
okay, but if people wanted to use your service in the Colorado or whatever area, would that be possible?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So they could also get a hold of you. Jim is out of Colorado. I've known Jim for, wow, it's got to be over 10 years now, had it, Jim?
Yes, it is. Yes, it sure is.
And so anyway, Jim and I have kept in touch, and we've not too long ago, I guess it was 8 months ago, we started connecting again and talking to one another again. And I told Jim about my direction and the different things that I'm getting involved in, and especially the YouTube channel. And I want Jim to be my guest, a very frequent guest on this channel, to help others, to educate others, because Jim Packard is a very knowledgeable man, folks. Very knowledgeable. And he's also a very humble man. And he's also, he's not about money. He's about educating and helping others in life. And So Jim does mold remediation. He does mold removal. He's got a product that he uses alongside his service. If any of you guys, if anybody needs his service, email him, text him, call him on the phone. Jim is a communicator. And Jim, how do you see our industry, where it has been, where it is today, and where it's going?
Well, the industry, David, from from the start up to this point, and I hope we see a change. But it's, I guess, the only way I could describe it, and it's unfortunate, has become a tsunami of deception. People need to be very careful out there when they're dealing with particularly mold issues and so on and so forth. Just do what, educate yourself best you can. Get a hold of people like David, like myself, and before you make decisions that may cost you a great deal of money that you truly don't need to spend. Because there's just too much dishonesty out there, and I want to see that changed.
And Jim, I've heard of so many stories from so many people where companies actually come in and plant mold in people's homes. They do unethical things they should not be doing. And why they do this, I think a lot of people do this over the money, and they don't need to be doing this. And it's exactly what Jim Packard says. Be cautious, folks. Be cautious, be cautious, be careful out there. Talk to people before you get them out to your home to do work. Make sure they know what they're talking about. Make sure they know what they're doing. Would you agree with that, Jim?
Oh, absolutely, David. That's excellent advice. Yes,
And
you
and and
need to be very careful.
there's just so many companies out there who are just taking advantage of people, and they should not be doing this. And why they do, I have no idea. They don't need to be doing this because, folks, not everybody is bad out there. Number one, look at the people. Jim Packard's been around for a long time. I've been around since 1987. I don't know the things that Jim knows. Jim is very knowledgeable in our industry, and Jim is very helpful. And Jim, do you also travel?
Oh, I do. Yes, I started out in the business, David, on the eastern seaboard of the United States. So I have clients, uh, New England. I have several clients who I have actually been serving now for close to 30 years in the Caribbean, uh, Bermuda, Dominican Republic. Um, and we still do some travel out here. We do a lot of work for the Indian reservations up in North Dakota, South Dakota. Um, so yeah, we do travel.
Wonderful, wonderful. And folks, if you've got any questions, email Jim, call Jim. You know, I'm all about helping one another. It doesn't matter to me if they're in our industry. I want to help others, even people, because people ask me all the time, Dave, why do you want to help me? I was just like, why not? So, there's plenty of opportunities for us to serve one another, for us to help one another. And and this is why I'm so impressed with Jim Packard, folks. He is a giver. He is such a giver. And that just,
Thank you, David.
oh, you're welcome. You're quite welcome. And Jim, I've actually learned a lot from you today. And in closing, we've got about another minute to go. What in closing, what would you like to see change in our industry?
Well, without without the detail of specific areas, um, I I would just, of course, I'd like to see a commitment to integrity. It seems that in our industry, integrity has become a very difficult master uh, for people to follow, and that's hurtful to me. I find it uncomfortable. Uh, but there are some issues within the industry right now that are going on. I think people should be very careful about sampling routines. If someone's using the little drop agar dish, that's that's a questionable approach, and then they need to be sure that they're going to get the information they want in using those. Uh, there's been a lot of talk about black mold, toxic black mold, and in actuality, color is mostly insignificant. Most all molds, black, gray, brown, pink, white, blue, green, yellow, they will present as black at some time during their existence or at death. So don't be fooled by the black mold. Know that yes, most of the more harmful molds are black or blue, but know that all molds present as black. Not all molds, most all molds present as black sometime during their existence.
Do you know, Jim, that you're one of the few people who has ever said this to me, and I've been in this industry since 1987. You're one of the few people who have stated this. And folks, Jim Packard, his X is 100% spot on. So whenever I hear this from people, oh, Dave, I think I got black mold. And one of the questions I ask back, Jim, is, oh, do you know there are many colors of mold? Oh, there are, Dave? I said, absolutely. Yellow, green, black, blue,
Yeah.
red, all kinds of different colors. And they're like, oh, so even if this is black? I said, first of all, there's all kinds of different colors. So the expression black mold, I hear this all the time from people. So, Jim,
Well, and you go on the internet, and there's 200, I think, a little over 200,000 websites that talk about toxic black mold, and once again, I think that's a move to make people think, okay, black mold, I've got black mold, I got to get it out of here. And yes, you want to get rid of mold.
mm-hmm.
There's no question about it. But don't let the hysteria that's being generated drive you to make decisions that aren't wise.
Absolutely. And there's one thing I want to add to this is that, in fact, Jim and I were talking earlier tonight went before we went live, and that is when a company comes in, takes care of your mold problem, but they don't take care of the source of the problem, folks. And what happens is that mold is going to return, time after time after time. So until you take care of the source that's generating these issues, your problem is only going to return time after time.
That's right, David.
And why do people do this? Why do companies not take care of the source of the problem? And I hate to say this, folks, but I'm going to be real with you. And that is, a lot of companies do this. I'm not mentioning any companies' names, of course, but a lot of companies do this because of the money. And so before you let anybody take care of your problem, the first thing you need to do is you need to take care of the source of the problem. What are some sources of your problem? It could be overflowing gutters. It could be a leaky pipe. It could be a leaky roof. It could be a humidity problem in your attic. Jim, would you like to add some other examples?
Well, and it can be something as simple as you've got a sunken living room, perhaps, or a sunken room, uh, and you've got temperature gradients, variance in that room from the rest of the house. Uh, Mold can be a problem. Um, Certainly, I don't know about crawl spaces out east, but crawl spaces tend to be a problem. Attics tend to be a problem. You've got in the winter, if you're in a where there is a winter cold climate, you've got warm household air flowing into the attic. It's hitting the bottom of your cold roof deck, and the moisture in that warm air is condensing onto the deck. So ventilation is critical. And the same within a crawl space, ventilation is critical. The other thing I would tell you is if you could have a mold problem, keep in mind that in the typical home, 30 to 40% of the air you're breathing on the first and second floors is coming from the basement or the crawl space. So that could very well be your problem.
Absolutely. And another source, folks, that I find out in my inspections that I've done in the past is exhaust fans. So many of us, Jim, I don't know about you, but so many people out there, I'm guilty of this, and that is I'm guilty of taking hot, steamy showers. Well, if you have an exhaust fan, let's make sure that exhaust fan works. And how can we determine if that exhaust fan works? It's called the toilet paper trick. Hold a piece of toilet paper up to your exhaust fan and see if that fan is holding. See if that fan is holding that toilet paper up. Even though your exhaust fan might be on, it may not be operational. It may not be doing its job. So we need to get the steamy humidity out of that bathroom, out of the shower. And a lot of times this is a lot of the problems that I'm finding in homes is their exhaust fans aren't working, or they're on but they're not exhausting. So Jim
They're
Packard,
on, but they're dead ending in the attic space.
yes,
All that moist air is being delivered to the attic.
yes, that
Yeah.
is quite common. I actually see laundry ductwork going down into the crawl space, going down into the basement, going into people's attics. I'm like, what's this for? Oh, that's our ductwork for our laundry. I was like, we got to get this out of here because it's humid air. So,
If I could mention one, David, that I have found, particularly where children are in a home, the overflow drain in your bathroom sink.
oh, yes.
Take take some white vinegar and water, and once a month, once every 6 weeks, spray that overflow drain, because what's happening, your child's standing there, and or you're brushing your teeth, you're washing your face, and that water that you've got running is going down into the trap through the regular drain, and it's displacing the air above it.
Yes.
That air takes the path of least resistance, which is
Yes.
through that drain overflow. And if there's mold in there, which there typically is some level of mold, it's going to blow right out at face level for your child. So take that upon yourself as a housekeeping item every 4 to 6 weeks to put a little vinegar and water down there,
Excellent.
or whatever other product you have for the
Right.
mold.
Excellent idea. Excellent idea. And to all my viewers out there, I'm going to have Jim Packard. I want to have Jim on my YouTube channel quite often. So what I want you to do is I want you to ask Jim Packard questions. Um, Jim Packard is very knowledgeable about our industry. So ask him questions, ask me questions down below. Give us the thumbs up on this. Share this YouTube video out if it was helpful to you. Jim, I hope to have you back. I'd like to have you back quite often, as long as you have the time to come on the YouTube channel, and just to make people more aware of what they're dealing with mold and moisture issues and all the things that we've talked about today.
Well, I would be happy to do that, David. I'm very happy to do it.
Okay. So just to recap, folks, the name of Jim Packard's product is Air Sweep. The name of his company is Control Environmental. Jim Packard's been around for a long time. He's been around a lot longer than I have. And so, with the two of us, we're going to help you guys with any questions you might have about moisture issues, water damage, mold remediation, mold removal, air sampling, swab sampling, liftoff sampling. Just put your questions below and we will address your questions in our next session. How's that?
I'm all for that.
Okay. And Jim Packard, thank you so much for the opportunity today. And I will be putting this up here shortly. This is David Snell with executiverestoration.com. Got mold, we have the cure.com. Thank you, Jim. I'm going to put this on.
Thank you, David, very much.
Oh, you're welcome. Okay.